Softy is a field outreach manager for FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform. In his role, Nicholas travels the United States to develop productive relationships with activists, legislators, and the general public on immigration-related issues. Nicholas has a professional portfolio spanning political campaigns, advisory positions, fundraising, let's try again. Nicholas has a professional portfolio spanning political campaigns, advisory positions, fundraising organizations, and think tanks. Nicholas holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Pace University and a master's degree from Liberty University. Nicholas is a U.S. Navy veteran and lives in the Washington, D.C. area with his wife, who's in the room, and his dog, who's also in the room. So please join me in warmly welcoming Nicholas Softy.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Let's see if it works. Here it is. Oh, okay. Hello, check, check, check. Can everybody hear me? I'm sure you can. Good? Good in the back? Great. Hello, everybody. I'm going to try to make this quick. I got to go to the No Kings protest, so. I'm going to make this quick. I got to go protest. I'm one of the speakers there, too. No, I'm just kidding. But good afternoon. Thank you for welcoming. My name is Nicholas Softy. I am the field outreach manager for the Federation for American Immigration Reform. My role at FAIR is to promote FAIR's initiatives and mission objectives across the country. I speak to, mainly what I do is I speak to college groups. I actually just came back from speaking to a large delegation of young people at the University of Florida. So it's about 50 young people motivated and ready to make a change in the country. I speak to groups like yourselves across the country. I was just telling Lois, is it Lois or Louise? Louise, that actually this group is one of the best groups, the most well-organized and well-maintained groups that I've spoken to across the country. So you should all give yourselves a hand. And you guys are all great. Thank you. I speak to activists, legislators, and the general public on all things immigration-related. So FAIR is America's largest and oldest 501c3 nonpartisan, nonprofit immigration policy organization. We've been around since 1975, and we've remained at the forefront of the immigration debate by providing expertise, research, and solutions to lawmakers. FAIR has played a significant role in virtually all major immigration policy changes over the last 45 years. FAIR officials have testified before Congress over 100 times, and our reports, published opinions, and spokespeople are routinely featured on all major news networks, radio talk show hosts, podcasts, and print media. FAIR is in the halls of Capitol Hill. We're in the media, we're in the courts, and we're across the nation working for you every single day, even on weekends. We represent a diverse coalition of over 3 million members. We have about 6,000 members in Maryland and growing, which is great. Before I got hired, we really didn't have a massive delegation in Maryland, but we've seen massive upticks because people are PO'd about what happened under the previous administration, and they want to see change in terms of immigration policy. We have supporters that span across the political spectrum. We have Republicans, we have conservatives, we have liberals, we have Democrats, but we're all united under one mission of working to make immigration policy work for the American citizens. And we welcome you to join this critical mission. I had a sign-up sheet. Please sign it. Just name, email, and number, and you can get access to our notifications, our Fair Take articles, and just news that's happening in your area in terms of immigration. We have the best. We have lawyers, we have research staff that are fully funded and ready to give you the best possible takes on immigration. If you'd like to donate, we're a non-profit organization. Check us out at fairus.org. We love donations. We also are active on Facebook, Twitter, I call it Twitter, X, and YouTube, where we're increasing the number of people willing to join our mission every single day in the hundreds of thousands. So we're very blessed to have that. Okay, so with that all out of the way, As we all know, immigration is the #1 issue in the country right now. With deportations ongoing, executive orders being signed at an unprecedented pace, and federal judges issuing a record level of injunctions, it is important to gain a holistic understanding on the current state of immigration policy. At FAIR, our policy proposals are guided by the simple North Star, that all U.S. immigration laws should be underpinned by the simple common sense premise: they should put America and its citizens first. Yes. Also, thank you. Feel free to cheer at any point during my speech. Just don't throw any tomatoes at me, all right? Please. I'm sensitive. All right. I'm a snowflake. There are plenty of reasons why unchecked mass migration is not in our nation's best interest. It includes, it weakens national sovereignty. It generates unnecessary strain on societal resources. It complicates national security objectives. It impedes social cohesion. It burdens the taxpayer. It displaces the American worker. And it threatens public safety. Here's some key findings. Considering that we have approximately 18.6 million illegal aliens currently residing in America, and there are about 48 million foreign-born residents currently in the country, that's about 15% of the American population is foreign-born, and about 70% of all population growth in the country is due to immigration. This puts a strain on our finite natural resources, generates urban sprawl complications, which destroys wildlife habitats and increases pollution. This is a problem, and bottom line, the United States is experiencing a national immigration crisis that needs to be addressed by our lawmakers. Okay, let's talk about this guy. All right, so let's start with the mess we just emerged from. The Biden administration presided over an unmitigated disaster at our borders, both northern and southern. We don't hear about the northern border, but we're going to talk about that. On his first day in office, Biden halted construction of the border wall and ended Trump 1.0's highly effective Remain in Mexico policy. The numbers don't lie. Illegal immigration grew to crisis proportions. Overall, more than 10 million illegal aliens were encountered in the Biden era at our borders. This includes over 500,000 unaccompanied children. For example, just to put it in perspective, during a 12-month period under Biden, CBP encountered a stunning 3.2 million illegal aliens. That marks the highest level of immigration in American history. That's about, on average, about 7,000 border crossers per day, and on a monthly basis, around 250,000 illegal aliens being shuffled into American big cities across the country. To put this in historical context, just a little sidebar here, we all hear about the Ellis Island days, mass immigration. The average number per year during that massive increase in immigration was only 900,000. And those were legal immigrants. These are all illegal immigrants. So that's a problem. You're going to hear that, I'm going to say, that's a problem. Because it is. The catch and release policy of the Biden administration let the vast majority of aliens into the country. In fact, a report by the House Judiciary Committee found that less than 1% of illegal aliens were deported. Instead, they were granted work visas to circumvent federal law. Under the Biden administration, immigration parole, as outlined in the Immigration and Nationality Act, was used as a shadow amnesty system. If anybody here is familiar with immigration parole, it's a program in our federal law which allows people to come here on a case-by-case basis for significant public benefit or for urgent humanitarian reasons. For example, if we have an American citizen who has a severe disease that only a foreign doctor can treat, our government will allow that doctor to come in on a case-by-case basis. They'll be vetted so they can treat the American citizen for their concern, which no American doctor can treat. And then they're sent back to their country, or they're allowed back into their country. So that's for a urgent humanitarian reason, for example. Biden and Mayorkas didn't do this. They granted parole to over 2 million illegal aliens through wholesale executive fiat, not on a case-by-case basis. In fact, in fiscal year 2023, Mayorkas granted a whopping 1.3 million paroles in a single fiscal year. That's another record. That's another highest ever. To put this in perspective, Obama granted only about 15,000 per year, and Trump averaged in his first term only about 5,000 per year. So we're going around from 5,000 and 15,000 per year to 1.3 million per year. That's big jump. Roughly 2 million illegal alien known gotaways evaded border agents and gained unfettered access into the interior of the United States of America. These are known gotaways. These are people that Border Patrol agents saw on cameras on surveillance, but they weren't able to track them and they weren't able to detain them. Those are just the known ones. My question to you is, where are the unknown ones that got into the country? We don't know who these people are. We don't know what their intentions are, and we do not know where they are currently residing. That's a national security problem. In New York, I'm from New York. I saw a thing on X about people being given driver's license, and they can put no name given on the top of the license. How is that sustainable? How is that in the national security interests of this nation? It's not, and it needs to be addressed. On the northern border here, north and south, but mostly in the north, around 400 aliens on the terror watch list were encountered, and that's at ports of entry. How many came in between the ports of entry? Nobody knows. People on the terror watch list in this country, we don't know where they are. And that doesn't include the thousands of special interest aliens posing potential security threats to the nation. As a result of poor enforcement and vetting practices, nearly 650,000 aliens with criminal charges ranging from murder to robbery to sexual assault were allowed to roam freely in the nation. According to ICE, this includes 15,000 aliens accused of murder. They have prior murder convictions and they're in this country today. What caused this? Policy choices rooted in weakness, incompetence, and an outright refusal to enforce federal immigration law. What is the result? A colossal, historic influx of migrants that overwhelmed our border security. Another sidebar here, under the previous administration, border agent suicide spiked because they felt hopeless and they were just being used as a taxi system to let immigrants into this country illegally. That's not what they signed up for. And it caused a sense of hopelessness, and a lot of them, unfortunately, took their lives at unprecedented levels. It's terrible, it's a travesty. This strained our communities, it burdened American taxpayers, and murdered American citizens, all of which I'm going to talk about. Illegal immigration, by its very nature, is corrosive to good order. While many politicians and pundits offer pathways to citizenship or amnesties to reward this, because it is a reward of bad behavior, as evidenced by the 1986 IRCA amnesty, also known as the Simpson-Mazzoli Act, which granted amnesty to millions and millions of illegal aliens in the hopes that it would stop. We let them in, they become legal, we stop it. It wasn't the case. Amnesties are not a viable solution to illegal immigration, nor are deferred action programs like DACA or TPS programs. These all reward bad behavior. We need more deterrences and less incentives. That's big. Push-pull mechanism here. When millions enter without proper vetting, it undermines the integrity of our borders and erodes public confidence in our government. The government that our tax dollars, at increasing rates, every day, seems like taxes go up, we're losing that. They need to be fully accountable to the people within this room. We shouldn't be skipping to their loo. They should be skipping to ours. It's that simple, really. Mass illegal entries creates chaos, rewarding those who break the rules while disincentivizing those who play by them. The legal immigrants that do it the right way and spend thousands of dollars and go through all the hoops, they are being disincentivized. Why should I go through all this trouble when these people come in, they can stay and hide in America long enough, they'll just get an amnesty. And they don't have to spend thousands of dollars. They're still spending thousands of dollars to the cartels that smuggle them in, but they're not spending thousands of dollars to the American government. It's not right. It's not right. Okay, let's keep going. FAIR's research highlights that illegal immigration costs American taxpayers over $150.7 billion every single year annually in public services ranging from things like education to healthcare. That's money that could be invested in our own communities. But, oh, this is off topic, another sidebar. Actually, DOGE cited our cost study on X. So Elon Musk actually cited that cost study. Little fun fact there. But anyways, so thank you. That's money that could be invested in our own communities. Fixing roads, funding schools, funding to police departments, providing child care services to American citizens, or supporting veterans like myself, or I'm sure plenty of other people in this room, who serve their countries honorably and deserve some help from our government. In sanctuary cities like New York and Chicago, we've seen migrants housed in schools, hotels, and parks, displacing U.S. citizens from local social programs that they're entitled to, that their tax dollars paid to. Why should hardworking Americans foot the bill for a system that prioritizes unlawfully present foreigners over American citizens? That's a question to you. Our public schools are overcrowded, with teachers stretched thin trying to accommodate students who don't speak English. I was actually a substitute teacher in my I grew up in Central Islip, and it's a school district that's it's like 70% foreign born. And I was a substitute teacher, and I would teach a class, and 90% of the class doesn't speak English. And it's not just Spanish. It's, Spanish, and then there's, Mandarin Chinese, and then there's African language, and there's Arabic, and it's Korean, and all these different languages. It's Russian. And it's all these different languages, and it costs. You have to hire translators, and it costs us more and more money, and it creates it's not an environment conducive to proper learning, and it's a problem because our children are our future. That's so simple, and it's that simple. Language barriers slow the process of education for all students. And speaking of public schools and its connection to illegal immigration, did anybody see that report that the superintendent of Des Moines public schools was actually an illegal alien who committed fraud? He committed fraud, and he did not even write his doctoral thesis. I don't even think he had a doctorate. It was fraud, right? It was diploma fraud.
And gun charges.
And yeah, and he's teaching our kids.
And he was here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And this is just another little sidebar. This is not related to schools, but just off the top of my head. You saw that report in Chicago of the illegal alien who was a police officer?
Oh yeah. Yes. From Montenegro.
Right, Montenegro. And we have a person here who is not here legally enforcing the legality of American law. This is peak clown world stuff. This is insane. That's just a little sidebar. Traffic in high immigration areas is unbearably congested, with many drivers unacquainted with American driving customs or laws, and this leads to car accidents. For example, the recent case of Harjinder Singh, the Indian national who found himself behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler, and he killed 3 people. When he was questioned by federal officials, he only answered 2 of 12 verbal questions correctly, and he recognized only 1 of 4 traffic signs. But he had a CDL license from the sanctuary state of California. And he's killing people on our roads.
And then fled back to California.
Right. This is peak clown world stuff. That's another incentive. For these people to come to our country. It's not right. Okay, moving on. Hospitals. Hospitals face longer wait times and higher costs because emergency rooms become de facto clinics for those without insurance. The Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz, who is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator currently, recently announced that an internal review uncovered more than $1 billion in Medicaid payments to illegal immigrants across several states. At FAIR, we've actually studied this previously. And I believe these are 2023 estimates. They're probably higher. And we always do conservative estimates. Like our population study is 18.6. We always err on the side of caution. So we provide at least that's correct. It might be higher, but we always give you the baseline. At FAIR, we estimate that the total federal medical expenditures for illegal alien healthcare is about $23 billion per year. That includes uncompensated hospital expenditures at over $8 billion. Medicaid burps of illegal alien children here is about over $1.5 billion. Medicaid fraud is about $8 billion. I thought that was my phone. Medicaid for U.S.-born children of illegal aliens is about $5.3 billion per year. This is coming out of our pockets to people who aren't supposed to be here by congressionally approved federal immigration law. Let's move on a little bit. Housing shortages drive up rents and home prices, making it harder for young American families to afford a place to live in their nation, and disintegrates their shot at the American dream of home ownership. The white picket fence we all heard as kids, that's slipping from my generation, where we can't afford a home in our own nation. We're becoming perpetual renters. We want a shot at the American dream, and that's what I hear from every student I talk to across the country, that the American dream is slipping between our fingers like sand, and we're pissed. Colleges across the nation are offering federal student aid and in-state tuition assistance to illegal alien students, which boxes out American students for spots at colleges and universities and forces them to compete against the world for a shot at an education in their own nation. Let's talk about the worker, which I care about because I come from a family of workers. I come from a blue-collar family in Long Island. So this affects me. So the unprecedented, and it also affects me because I have a master's degree. So I come from low-skilled labor, but I'm technically high-skilled labor, but that's neither here nor there. What is a skill, right? That's philosophical. The unprecedented influx of low-skilled labor depresses wages for American workers, particularly those in entry-level and blue-collar jobs like construction workers, truck drivers, retail workers, agricultural workers, sanitation workers, and hospitality staff, which is the backbone of the American economy. High-skilled foreign workers replace high-skilled American workers. This is especially true in the H-1B program, which is a random lottery. Most people don't know this. H-1B is a random lottery system. It is not merit-based, and it should be reformed as a merit-based system. So we take in the best of the world, not just people who apply and it's drawn out of a hat and like, okay, Apple sponsored you and you won the lottery, so now you're a computer policy analyst or whatever job they give them. Companies, as sponsors, exploit visa programs to replace U.S. workers with foreign workers, whom they can pay less, oftentimes at 20 to 30% below market rates, treat worse because then they can hide the visa over their head and basically treat them like indentured servants, making them work like 12, 15-hour days and say, oh, well, I'll pull your visa, I won't, whatever stuff they want to use against these people, and drive up profits for their businesses. So the business sees a gain in this equation. The illegal alien, the immigrant worker sees a gain, but the American worker is left out of the equation. They should be at the forefront of the equation in a proper functioning government that cares about its people. When employers hire foreign workers at lower rates, often off the books, it creates an unfair playing field and is against federal law. It's against federal law to knowingly hire an illegal alien worker, and essentially forces American workers to compete against the world for their livelihoods in their own nation. American families already struggling with inflation and rising costs are seeing their earning potentials squeezed. Good policy, good immigration policy, is protecting and prioritizing the American worker over the foreign worker. Okay, and here's some solutions for the H-1B program. We believe that you should enhance wage requirements, prevent underpayment, strengthen recruiting. We have to prove that U.S. workers sought domestic labor first before they outsource to foreign labor. They're not currently forced by statute to do that. That would force them to look inwards. We have to end the dual intent nature of the program. It was not originally used as a path, not intended for a pathway to citizenship. It is now being used as a pathway to citizenship. It is supposed to be a temporary guest worker program, as outlined in the 1990 federal law in which it comes from. We have to deter fraud in the program. We have to do oversight visits, congressional oversight, work site visits, and we have to codify accountability measures into federal law to hold these employers accountable. And like I said, common sense, protect the American worker over the foreign one. Okay, here's some additional strains for mass migration. Culturally, mass migration hinders assimilation by its very nature. I don't know if he was a governor, but anybody remember Bobby Jindal? The governor, yeah. He had a quote that I saw recently, and he said that, which I agree with. It says, immigration without assimilation is an invasion. So assimilation is very important. It's an interesting quote. When migration is too rapid, government officials cannot fully vet these immigrants. and immigrant communities form ethnic enclaves where integration stalls, leading to social fragmentation. You know, Abraham Lincoln said this hundreds of years ago, a house divided upon itself cannot stand. We need to be unifying, and that means assimilation. Teddy Roosevelt on the topic once said, quote, that we do not want this nation to become a tangle of squabbling nationalities, which, quote, will bring this nation to ruin. So he was talking about hyphenated Americans, Americans that say I'm Italian American or Irish American or Mexican American or Russian. No, you're just American. You come here, you leave foreign allegiances behind, and you bear full faith and allegiance to the country. There's no hyphenations. You're an American now. That's it. So, America has always been a generous nation full of kind people. But generosity has its limits, and they all must be bound by common sense and reason. Only 4% of the world lives in this country. 96% of the world doesn't, which is billions and billions of people. And we cannot take everyone. America is a collection of peoples. I understand that. But for that to work, newcomers must integrate into our shared values, learning English, respecting our laws, learning American history, honoring cultural traditions and norms, positively contributing to this society, abandoning their allegiance to their former nation, and bearing full faith and allegiance solely to the United States and this flag right here, which we all pledge allegiance to. A nation without borders is not a nation. A nation without borders is not a nation. And enforcing our laws is essential for all justice and order within the nation. Okay, sanctuary state of Maryland, because it is a sanctuary state. Let's talk about Maryland, the state that has sadly done a great job of accommodating illegal aliens. Over the years, sanctuary policies have expanded into various cities and towns, including all of Baltimore. Driver's licenses, in-state tuition, financial aid are all available regardless of immigration status, and regional day labor centers have been institutionalized throughout the state. In fact, Maryland became a sanctuary state in 2021 when the sanctuary bill was attached to the detention ban bill, which is HB 0016 for your reference. This is just something I took a note of today. The Maryland Attorney General, Anthony Brown, on Wednesday, just issued a memo advising state and local law enforcement agencies to not enforce civil immigration laws or assist federal agents in doing so. That is a classic example of nullification. State laws not cooperating with federal laws. If anybody here is a history buff, that's civil war. That's the states not following what the federal government says. It creates a conflict. We have problems. This is a neo-Confederate movement, what we're seeing now in terms of immigration policy. And as a sanctuary state, Maryland is undermining federal law. It is undermining Supreme Court precedent as outlined in Arizona v. United States, and the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution. Some Baltimore County stats. According to FAIR's 2025 Sanctuary Report, Baltimore County is a sanctuary jurisdiction. Baltimore County prohibits status inquiries without a judicial criminal warrant and prohibits detainer compliance without a judicial warrant or other judicial order. Baltimore County frequently ignores these detainers. According to data provided by ICE, federal agents filed 81 detainers in Baltimore County between October 2022 and September 2023. About 70% of these detainers were not honored by Baltimore County, meaning the individuals in question, the criminal illegal aliens, were released back into Maryland communities before they could be handed over to immigration officials and promptly deported. It's a problem. Okay. This is another thing I care about because, like I said, I grew up in an area surrounded by Latin Kings, MS-13, MS-18, a lot of these South American gangs, and Jamaican gangs, and Haitian gangs. So this, I grew up with this. I don't know how everybody else here grew up, but I grew up in a bad neighborhood in Long Island. So this, I've seen firsthand. I've seen the Aurora, Colorado stuff firsthand. I grew up 2 houses away from an MS-13 gang house, where they would literally walk around the streets with machetes and threaten me and my friends playing basketball in the street. I grew up in schools where they would do, in the back of the school bus, they'd traffic guns. You go into the bathroom, and the women there would be prostitution rings. The girls would be getting prostituted out in the bathrooms. And this is what, maybe not so much in rural communities, but it's gonna infiltrate eventually, more and more over time, and you have to stop it at the root before it buds. Sanctuary jurisdictions frequently release dangerous illegal alien felons. This includes rapists, murderers, and pedophiles into the general population. Here's some, stories from Maryland. In 2022, Kayla Hamilton, a 20-year-old woman, Maryland woman, was raped and strangled in her apartment. The perpetrator, a 17-year-old Salvadorian national and suspected MS-13 gang member, was illegally in the United States after entering as an accompanied minor. People grow up, and just because someone's a minor doesn't mean they're not going to grow up and become a criminal. They're still here illegally, regardless. He was living in the same trailer park as Hamilton and allegedly used a cord to kill her during a sexual assault. Gone. In 2023, an illegal alien robbed 2 women after threatening them with a machete in Montgomery County. He then raped one of the women. He had also raped a 15-year-old girl on the same trail several days before. This illegal alien had been dodging removal orders since 2014. Despite an ICE detainer, Prince George's County sanctuary policies led to his release after serving time that allowed further crimes. And then we know the story of Rachel Marin, a Maryland mother of 5, who was raped and murdered while jogging in her own country, in her own state. The suspect, a Salvadorian national and MS-13 gang member, we're seeing a trend, was illegally in the United States after fleeing El Salvador following another murder. He killed Marin. He raped her, and he left her body in a drainage culvert like garbage. In Baltimore County, here are some recent examples right here. That's statewide. Here's right here. I did the research, so right here. In August of this year, an illegal alien from Honduras in Baltimore County was arrested for attacking a local resident during a dispute over a parking spot, using a blunt object to inflict severe head injuries requiring hospitalization. He had been living illegally in America since 2021. In April, an illegal alien from Guatemala and suspected MS-13 affiliate was convicted of attempted murder in Baltimore County. The alien ambushed a rival gang member with a knife during a territorial dispute. This is our territory. I just gotta say this off the top. This is our territory. Foreign gangs should not be fighting for the territory of American land. They gotta keep that in their own countries. This is our territory. And when do you hear politicians saying this? Never. This is our land, not theirs. I'm sorry I'm getting passionate, but I think everybody here is passionate. And I wish more politicians were as passionate as me. Yes. And the people in this room. It's true. The alien, I said that. He stabbed the victim multiple times in the chest and abdomen. In February of this year, an illegal alien from Trinidad and Tobago was arrested for breaking into a home in the area. He raped a 45-year-old woman to, quote, silence her. To silence her, who knows why. And then he strangled her to death. He had been illegally in the country since the 90s, with prior convictions ignored by local authorities. In August, an illegal alien from Honduras was arrested due to an incident where the alien attacked a Baltimore County police officer during a traffic stop, striking the officer multiple times in the face and body just because he was asked for identification. In July, an illegal alien from Jamaica was arrested for attempted first-degree murder and illegal possession of a firearm following a shooting on the I-695. The alien had entered the United States illegally in 2021, engaged in a road rage incident, and fired multiple shots at another driver's vehicle after a minor traffic dispute, wounding the victim. Here's the final one. In August, a 23-year-old illegal alien from Venezuela with suspected MS-13 ties was arrested for attempted murder. The alien and his accomplice knocked a 20-year-old man off his moped during a dispute over a stolen vehicle. He then stabbed him in the back with a screwdriver and kicked him repeatedly. He had crossed the border illegally in 2023 under the Biden administration. And I ask you all this. How many more murders, rapes, sexual assaults, robberies, and random acts of violence do we need to endure before we wake up and demand action from our elected officials? While Americans and people in general, residents of this nation, are being robbed, raped, and murdered, elected officials are putting American lives in danger just to secure votes, to virtue signal their perceived moral superiority over all of us, and to placate their special interest donors who line their pockets with plenty of cash. It is suicidal empathy of the highest order. Open borders are an invitation to danger, period. In the United States, we deserve walkable streets, we deserve low crime rates, we deserve safety, and we deserve domestic tranquility. It is our birthright. Thank you. Illegal alien crime is a scourge to American neighborhoods. And every crime committed by an illegal alien is a wholly preventable crime that never needed to happen if our elected officials just enforced federal immigration law, and if the state officials just worked with the federal agents to get these criminals out. Lives would be saved. People wouldn't be in the hospital. Okay, a little bit about fentanyl, because that's big. Fentanyl is responsible for nearly 70% of drug overdose deaths in the country. It's the leading killer, according to the DEA, of Americans age 18 to 45. Over 300,000 Americans die from fentanyl poisoning during the Biden administration. 100,000 people die per year in the United States from fentanyl overdose as it stands today. So we've seen a drop, but, still big. That's about 250 people per day die on average from fentanyl poisoning. And a lot of people don't even know they're getting fentanyl. They smoke a joint, they do some coke, whatever they're doing, and it's laced. And it only takes a little bit to kill people. Actually, interesting fact, sidebar, fentanyl, according to the DEA, has been found in every single drug. So they found in every drug, because they lace it because people like the feeling and they want more and they'll buy more. Since fiscal year 2024, around 11,400 pounds of fentanyl has been seized. That's enough to kill America, every person in America, like 2 or 3 times over in 1 year. This obviously comes through by the cartels, the Mexican drug cartels, and not only are they bringing in fentanyl and drugs, they're doing human trafficking. I read a report recently that they were paying American citizens anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 to serve as mules to smuggle people across the border. So like if you're an American citizen, you go to Mexico, you go to wherever, you take 4 illegal aliens, let's just say each one is you're getting $2,000 per illegal alien. You go from Tijuana to San Diego, you can make for 4 people $8 grand in a 30-minute trip. And that's what these cartels are using. They're weaponizing social media. They're making the pills look like candies to market to your children and grandchildren. So it looks appealing. And that's how much fentanyl it takes to kill someone, by the way. That's a lethal dose, by the way. Okay. Terrible stuff. Looking forward, where do we go from here? And I cannot stress this enough. Just because we see record reductions in border encounters, we're seeing about a 93.5% reduction, which is awesome. I love it. And another great news, over 2 million illegal aliens are now gone from the United States. They've either self-deported or been deported. More people are actually self-deporting, which is what we want. We don't want conflict. We just want them to say, listen, we're reducing the incentives and we're creating deterrents. These people are going to go on their own peacefully. And if they go in accordance with the CBP Home app, they get, I think, $1,000 or so. They go back to their home country and they can come back in legally. Legal, not illegal, legally. And, it's working. We've seen about 2 million people overall leave the country. But this is not a mission accomplished moment, okay? There are going to be plenty of lawsuits to fend off. Federal judges are going to continue to issue more injunctions. NGOs and open borders nonprofits, many of which are funding the No Kings protests as we speak right now, both international and domestic, are going to brainstorm new game plans to further their illegal immigration agenda. Countries will not cooperate in taking back their repatriated citizens. Sanctuary-supporting politicians are going to resist federal laws and decrees. Anti-ICE protests are going to continue to rage across the nation. Media outlets are going to continue to push divisive and inaccurate narratives, and multinational criminal organizations are going to look to find new ways to smuggle humans, drugs, and weapons into our nation. And besides, if we don't take all these changes, like these executive actions and orders, and put them into federal law, they can be rescinded at the stroke of a pen by any subsequent administration. So we need to codify these changes. And here's some things we believe at FAIR can solve the problem. First, secure the border permanently, finish the wall, fund more Border Patrol agents, and give ICE the tools it needs to detain and deport unlawfully present aliens. Second, we need mandatory E-Verify nationwide so employers can't hire illegal workers to undercut American labor. Third, no more sanctuary cities. Starve them of federal funds. and pass laws. Thank you. Classic example of the power of the purse. You got the politics, you got the power of the sword, power of the purse. Let's go nonviolent. Let's hit them in the pocketbooks where it matters. And pass laws to penalize jurisdictions that shield criminals from deportation. And if any politician, regardless of their status, is aiding and abetting or impeding a federal investigation, we should prosecute them. Because like we heard all the time in the news, no one's above the law, right? Let's hold them to that same standard. They're not above the law. They're not above federal immigration law. Because concealing, harboring, or shielding an unauthorized alien from detection or encouraging or inducing an alien to come to, enter, or reside in the United States illegally is against federal law. That's from the statute. Fourth, we need to reform legal immigration. The current system admits millions of people per year, often without regard, skills, proper vetting, or assimilation. We believe that we should reform, like we talked about H-1B reform, we should reform legal immigration programs to prioritize those who benefit our economy and embrace our values, all through a meritocratic framework. Fifth, we need to fix birthright citizenship. Trump's order is destined for a date with the Supreme Court, and if it doesn't survive there, then Congress will need to pass clarifying legislation. And birthright citizenship is expensive. At FAIR, we estimate that the mandatory K through 12 education, as outlined by the Supreme Court case Plyer v. Doe, costs American taxpayers about $70 billion per year, because we have millions of children across the country that fall under that bracket. In Maryland, we have about 121,000 legal alien children that are enrolled in the Maryland K through 12 public school system. This is expensive. Six, we must protect our democracy. I know we don't have a democracy. I know we have a constitution, a republic, and all that stuff. I'm saying democratic voting. We need to reinstate a citizenship question on the census so illegal aliens don't skew congressional apportionment or the Electoral College. We need to pass the SAVE Act. We must prohibit individuals from voting at the national level if they do not provide proof of citizenship. Yes. Steps. Thank you. States must be required to purge non-citizens from their official voter rolls, like we saw in Virginia with Governor, soon-to-be former Governor Youngkin. American voices should not be diluted by non-citizens. It demeans the importance of citizenship and waters down any incentive for illegal immigrants to become fully fledged American citizens. We saw that in, which is the one? I'm so sorry. I know I'm running low on time.
No, you're okay.
Okay, okay.
We'll make sure we have Q&A time.
Okay, I'm almost done. I promise.
You're okay. You're okay.
Thank you.
You know when you're not.
Yeah. In Minnesota, with Governor Waltz, they just passed. Didn't they pass a law saying that everybody gets a driver's license? Yes. Okay. And in the state, you can vote if you just show a driver's license. So we're going to have illegal aliens voting in state elections. That's a problem. It's basically on the honor system. We need to have more barriers in place so that we can stop these people from voting. You know, if they want to vote so bad, they can vote in the countries they come from. It's that simple. This is all common sense. Seventh, we must stop taxpayer bleed. In Maryland, FAIR estimates that the 350,000 illegal aliens currently, and that's 2023 numbers, so it's gone up drastically. It's probably more around 400,000, maybe even more. Aliens in the state cost Maryland taxpayers, everybody in this room, $2.9 billion per year. Wow. Which means you're incurring on a household basis a fiscal burden of about $521 per year per household in Maryland. So that's one of the reasons where your money's going. One of the ways where your money's going. And finally, we need to crack down on illegal alien crime. No more coddling. Public safety is a non-negotiable prerequisite to any successful, self-respecting nation. It is our birthright. Okay, some action items. I did some action items. In addition to these important policy measures, I challenge everyone here to get more engaged on the issue of immigration at the state and local levels. This can include testifying at a local city council or town board meeting, regularly contacting your elected representatives, building networks with like-minded activists, which you're doing here today. That's great. Be more active. Make more friends. Build more networks. Expand the movement. Sign petitions. Post facts and figures on social media. That's a massive weapon. That's a massive tool. You know, X.com is probably the largest political microphone in American, well, it is the largest political microphone in human history. Use it. One post, I just did a podcast, it went on X, it had, in like 3 days, it had 131,000 views. That's big. Yeah. That's big. And I'm saying just the stuff I'm saying here, maybe I gained 100,000 people. Go, wow, that makes sense. I might not agree on everything the guy says, but 80%, and that sways. That's what Charlie Kirk did. You know, we have to honor that man's memory of going out into the public and just having debates, talking to people, saying facts and figures, and you might change someone's mind on the immigration policy issue. You need to attend peaceful protests and demonstration. Peaceful, because if you go to a violent protest, the other side's going to use it against you and say that you're a violent, anti-American, xenophobic, racist, fascist, evil person, bad guy. You know, so always be peaceful, use your words, not violence. You should volunteer for a local campaign. Anybody here volunteered for a local campaign? Yeah, me too. I volunteer for multiple. It's great, do it. You learn a lot, you make a lot of friends, you build a lot of connections, it's a great way to network, and it's fun. Your heart feels good after you volunteer, I notice. Not even just the political sphere, but in just general, volunteering is a good habit for your life. And also, a lot of people don't tell people, but run for office. If you feel that your elected officials aren't speaking in your interest, maybe you could do better. It's true. So if you meet the
governor, everybody that hears this speech is voting for you.
Thank you.
Save us.
Thank you. I would. Maybe one day, who knows? But I'm a Virginia resident, so I have to. But run for local office. I think a lot of people here, I suspect, have a lot of great ideas. Speak your ideas. People like to hear more than you think. And this is just a slide. I don't have much to say on it, but if you want to take a photo, I did some research. Here are some good 2025 bills that we're tracking at FAIR that would be great in terms of state immigration policy. Take a photo, do some research, find out how you can get involved on pushing these issues to your local elected officials. A lot of these bills do a lot of great work in shoring up Maryland's state immigration laws. It's an uphill battle, but we do see victories with dedicated activism. Okay? I'm almost done. And if you don't want to take a photo, you can, at the end I have my email. Send me an email, I can shoot you this. It's not a problem. You know I'm very good with emails. I'm always available. I really do care about you and this issue. So that's one thing. I may not be the smartest guy, but I care. All right. And this is my final little spiel here. Securing our borders, asserting our national sovereignty, and preserving our time-honored social institutions, and keeping American communities safe must be our #1 priority as citizens. It is our sacred duty to future generations of Americans. Reagan said, freedom is no more than 1 generation away from extinction. So you must leave this country better for your children and your grandchildren and your great-great-grandchildren. It is your duty, sacred duty. Common sense immigration reform is simple. Maintain strong borders and immigration enforcement. Deport illegal aliens. Welcome those who come to the country legally in numbers we can handle that allows for proper vetting and assimilation, all while protecting the interests of Americans first. And I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite presidents, Teddy Roosevelt, a quote that he said in 1919 in a letter to a group in 1919 on this topic of immigration. He said that immigration should be in this country, quote, predicated upon the persons becoming in every facet an American and nothing but an American. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he is an American, but something else also, isn't an American at all. We have room but one flag, the American flag. We have room for but one language here, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is a loyalty to the American people. And with that, thank you. And there's my email at the bottom, fairus.org. If you loved what I said, make a tax-deductible donation. You know, send me an email, tell me you liked my speech or you didn't like my speech. Want to stay up for questions? Or?
Yeah, we're going to do Q&A now, but I want to pay a compliment because Nicholas complimented us on being a really well-organized group. And when he walked in the door, I paid him a compliment and said, "You were one of the easiest speakers I've ever worked with the entire time I've been president." So it's mutual. So Darlene has.
I'm humble man, I'm humble.